The 9th of January, SS Beria, Miss Pavlova's cabin. Hello everyone, Triple S back here with some more great Ace Attorney Chronicles. It's been a while since I've recorded some of this game because with it getting to Halloween and then also the Christmas period, I work retail. I am a shop assistant, a sales assistant, so my hours have been crazy. My shifts have been a lot, so I've not had the time to do a lot of stuff. But I finally got some time to record this, and I'm also going to see the Five Nights at Freddy's movie today, so that'll be fun. Anyway, this will be the last part of the case, not the adventure of the Unbreakable Speckled band. I keep wanting to say case, because that's what I'm used to saying about, you know, case number 1, case number 2 from the other H2 games. But anyway, yep, this will be the final part, so let's see how this all wraps up. Somehow, the door to the cabin we were in ended up bolted after we'd made an emergency stop. Susato-san took a deep breath, then gently slid back the bolts. You, what are you doing in Miss Pavlova's quarters? Ah, you both look unhurt. Good. Yes, we're fine. Thank you. What on earth happened? We heard something about how we were going to collide with another ship. Yes, it appears to have been a false report, though. Oh, how did that happen? There's a dense fog outside, so it's extremely difficult to see. Someone must have thought he saw a ship ahead. This person obviously triggered the alarm, and that's why we made an emergency stop. Everything is chaos. Passengers are screaming, crew are running everywhere. This first-class area is the only quiet part of the ship at the moment. Oh, I see. Someone triggered the alarm. Does that mean that someone pressed that button outside? Ah! You wicked intruder, dressed all in black. You are the devil. Sorry, me? I've been called a lot of things before, but devil is a first. You opened my travelling case. How could you? What? No, we didn't touch it. That's right, Miss Pavlova. It was already open when we came into your cabin. Inspector. Yes? Arrest this man. I know he did it. He's a criminal. Is it not enough that he has killed a man? Da, and he is stowaway as well. He fixed and promises not to steal chicken, do you believe? Take him away. He's a trespasser as well as everything else. Stowing away, trespassing, killing. She is right. You are devil. Doesn't look good, does it? There is cell below deck. Throw him in. Tomorrow we dock in Hong Kong. Then we give you straight to police. Wait, a cell? Please, Inspector Hasanaga, is there nothing you can do? This is a Russian vessel. I really have no jurisdiction here. After my last effort to appeal to the captain's good nature, I think I'm out of options. This is terrible. This is a real crisis. I've got to find a solution. Immediately. Okay, well what we got to do is... I think we go over here. And look who's over there, just hanging out. He's been here the whole time. What the... What are you doing up there? Mr. Sholmes? Actually, I was analysing what a weight of 20,000 rubles feels like on one's head. Have I not told you that as a detective it is my business to know what other people do not? This isn't merely tomfoolery, my boy. Oh, no. Well, why were you hanging from that hook before then? Isn't obvious. To properly assess the weight of the 20,000 rubles, naturally. I wish to determine if it would bend that conceited-looking hook on the wall so full of brag and bounce. I never know whether to take this man seriously or not. Ah, you again. The great detective. Ah, Inspector. I confess I've been looking for you. I have something to report to you most urgently. Well, you might try looking for me somewhere other than a hook on the wall next time. What is to report? Speak! An urgent report from a great detective can mean but one thing. Yep. The case of the curious murder that took place last night here on this vessel, the steamship Buria, has been solved. By me, naturally. What? Really? Yep. I have eliminated all other possibilities. No other explanations exist. So allow me to illuminate all your minds. I am about to reveal my great detective's greatly admired great deduction to the case. Okay, let's see how much stuff he gets wrong here. Ha! You have solved it? Even Hedgehog understands this case. We all knew who was responsible for killing student boy this morning, and we found criminal in wardrobe. It is this stowaway, and he has handcuffs to prove it. I didn't do it! The trouble is, there doesn't appear to be anyone else who could have killed the victim. Because as everyone knows, the cabin door was bolted shut from the inside. That means the culprit must be someone who was inside the cabin. Yep, it's what's called a locked room mystery in detective stories. Da, locked room. That is point. The room was locked. Well, I can't deny that. There's no way the bolt could have been drawn across from outside the cabin. You're all quite mistaken. Cabin next door. It's not a so-called locked room at all. What? Oh yes, there is another entrance. An entrance used last night by the culprit in order to gain access to the cabin despite the bolted door. What other entrance? We never discovered one. Why, it gapes open-mouthed at you even as we speak. The ventilator man. The ventilator? You think this is funny? I can't even put my arm through that hole. That's because your arms are as thick as tree trunks. You're suggesting that the culprit entered and left the victim's cabin through that tiny opening? It's not possible. Ah, but it is. And last night, the victim even witnessed the intruder in the act of passing through the ventilator. Mr. Sholmes, do you mean... Are you referring to the words Kazuma-sama wrote in his diary? 1:23 AM, I can hear a faint whistling sound. 1:35 AM, well, looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. Precisely, my dear madam. But what does it mean? What is this speckled band? The answer to that particular conundrum is in this very cabin. Mr. Sholmes, what are you doing? There's a distinct element of danger, but fear not, I am ready. What I'm about to expose for all of you to see will shock you to your cause. Behold! Ah! What the? Allow me to introduce you all to the band, the Speckled Band. A snake? Indubitably. Mr. Sholmes, just one thing. Pray, what troubles you? Well, that snake isn't really speckled, is it? It looks more stripy, wouldn't you say? Huh? Yeah, you're right. I think in this case you'd have to call it the striped band, wouldn't you? You both see and observe with distinction. However, do you not think that is precisely the trap into which the culprit wishes you to fall? Oh my goodness, really? It's a trap? How exactly? I think perhaps it is time I explain the intricacies of my train of thought. Are you ready, Miss Pavlova? I'm sorry for the young man who died, but that is all. His death is nothing to do with me. This whole thing is nothing to do with me. There are two conclusions I have drawn from the facts. Number one, last night your friend infiltrated the victim's cabin. And number two, that same friend was responsible for the victim losing his life. No. She's turned as white as a bowl of rice again. Jones must be right. He's hit the nail on the head. This young woman's friend killed Mr. Asogi? Yeah, we can't hear you, mate. Looks like he can't speak with that snake coiled around his head. I would advise as little movement as possible, Seaman. You wouldn't want the fangs of that long friend in your neck. So, everyone, let us begin. Sherlock Holmes is proud to present his logic and reasoning spectacular. Here we go. The great deduction, the game is afoot. Topic number 1, intruder's identity. Miss Pavlova, moments ago you claimed the following. His death is nothing to do with me. This whole thing is nothing to do with me. Yet you cannot deceive yourself. Yes, when you recall those horrid events, your aching heart smarts with pain. Just confused by that. And it is that very pain that evidences your inextricable link to the victim's death. So we ask, what was the nature of this intruder that stole into the victim's cabin on that portentous night? Portentous. Why, naturally, it was the friend with which you boarded this vessel, was it not? Ah, as I suspected. Another telltale glance. Without doubt, your friend is the writhing serpent we see before us. Oh, she's confused by that as well. And yet that fact leaves us in a quandary. The victim's written observations on the night in question tell of a speckled band, whereas regrettably, this specimen's markings do not fit the description in any way. What explanation can we then give, pray? What was this sight that fell upon the victim's eyes last night? What's she hiding there? No, don't look at me! This has nothing to do with any of this. Oh, but it does. You have the answer to this quandary, even now, hidden behind your back. Yes, that which you are trying but failing to conceal can only be the snake's sloughed skin. Evidently, after the subtle and horrible crime, this most deadly fiend friend of yours shed its original skin. No? I don't know what you're talking about. Last night, through the ventilator visible in this cabin, your then speckled friend slithered next door. Using the bell cord on the other side of the bridge, the serpent silently descended into the victim's quarters. In the dim light, it appeared to the young gentleman who was about to lose his life as a speckled band. In summary, the nature of this friend of yours, which last night infiltrated the scene of the crime, is a rare breed of snake whose markings change each time it sloughs its skin. The snake is so dreadful, we can only imagine it would be found in the deepest depths of India. Conclusion, a beloved speckled snake. Topic number 2. How Mr. Asogi died. Moving on, we come to the heart of the matter, the grim demise of the victim. How did this young man lose his life, and why? According to the data of which I have been apprised, it would appear there were no visible signs of injury. Losing my voice. In fact, the circumstances of the victim's death can only be explained by a terrible venom. Oh, she's confused by that. Now, if we take that as fact, we can reasonably imagine that there remains evidence to affirm it at the scene of the crime. Oh no! Could there be? Yep, an examination of the deceased body will prove the cause of death conclusively. Oh, she's confused by that. The almost but not quite imperceptible puncture wounds left by the venomous fangs will seal the truth. Yep, the vestiges of the snake bite delivered by your terrifying friend. This makes no sense. There is no point feigning ignorance, Miss Pavlova. After the incident, you endeavoured to hide everything, didn't you? But now your involuntary glance betrays the hiding place you chose. That's right, you hid the evidence that links you to the victim's death in this travelling case. Oh, she's confused by that. When we first met in this cabin, it came to my attention that your case moved periodically. Your servant assassin was restless inside, no doubt. You don't... It is telling that the victim made note of a low whistling sound that he heard minutes before his end. That was your signal, was it not? The sound you had used to train your serpent friend? To train? Indeed, you put the serpent through this ventilator and wait. After a period, you summon it back with a whistle. You couldn't know if the animal had done its duty, so you would listen for signs of life next door. If the victim appeared not to have been dispatched, you'd release the snake once more, or serpent, either one. I really thought it'd say serpent then, for some reason. Do you deny this snake has undergone such training? It's not true! Having slithered through the ventilator and down the bell cord, the creature needed only to sink its fangs in once. And its venom would course through the victim's veins, ending his existence forever. That is the true nature of the speckled band that took the poor young man's life. There can be no doubt, my logic is infallible. Are you sure about that? Conclusion: death by a venomous snake's bite. Thus concludes Sherlock Sholmes' great deduction of the speckled band. Miss Pavlova has trained her pet snake as a killing machine. There on the floor, you will observe a saucer of milk. The promise of food is the key to training any creature. Incredible! You've solved the mystery. Amazing. Your great deduction really lives up to its name. I see now why Sherlock Sholmes has become such a household name. My dear man, it was nothing remarkable. As the Russians say, I could have done it with one left hand. Could I venture an opinion, Mr. Sholmes? But of course, what's on your mind? It's just about your deductions before. Some things don't quite make sense to me. I welcome questions as to my method. I will answer both loudly and proudly. Oh, well, good. First of all, snakes are egg-laying creatures, part of the reptile family. You are well informed, madam. And reptiles, don't drink milk. Ah. It's really only mammals that like to drink milk, you see. So, I'm not sure it would be possible to train a snake using milk as a reward. No matter. No doubt Miss Pavlova used some other treat to encourage her pet to do her bidding. Milk was merely an example. The logic holds. Well, there is something else. Snakes have no ears. Ah. Yes, so I'm not sure it would really be possible to signal to a snake by whistling. Madam, what of the tales from Arabia? Have you not heard of the snakes that dance to the sounds of a flute? I think perhaps the performers play their music in time with the snake's natural movements. Oh, I see. No hands, no feet, no ears? These creatures are so inept as to be practically useless. Don't take out on the snakes, Mr. Sholmes. There is one other thing. You have more. Snakes use the scales on their bellies to propel themselves. So, I'm not really sure that a snake could manage to climb up a flat bell cord like the ones in these cabins. And he should try harder. Please don't be angry with me, Mr. Sholmes. The point is, even if the snake had gone through the ventilator to the next door cabin, it couldn't have come back without help. What I'm trying to say is that there are a number of reasons why it's difficult to imagine the snake could have had a part in this. Poor guy. I think we need to step in and help again, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh no, you don't mean... Yep, we need to modify Mr. Sholmes' latest deductions and turn them into the great ones they ought to be. I had a feeling that was coming. Alright, let's give it a try. Just what I was waiting for, Mr. Naruhodo. Yep, right. So, cast your eyes down to your wrists again. What? You've done it again. Your handcuffs are gone. Where did they go? Fear not, I shall see they are restored after our work is done. Really wish you'd leave them off. Now, everyone, let us begin. Sherlock Sholmes' Prize presents his logic and reasoning spectacular. Course correction. Hold it, Mr. Sholmes. Yep, topic number 1. Intruder's identity. Miss Pavlova, moments ago you claimed the following. His death is nothing to do with me. This whole thing is nothing to do with me. Yet you cannot deceive yourself. Yes, when you recall those horrid events, your aching heart smarts with pain. Really, her aching heart? She does have a pained expression on her face. Yes, that's true. Looks as though Kazuma-sama's death is weighing heavily on her mind. Do not show Mr. Sholmes has read her quite correctly, is that it? Would there be some other way to interpret her expression then? Let's take a moment and really look very closely at Miss Pavlova. Okay, what do we need to do here? Aha! There we go. Oh, Naruhodo-san, look. That looks like a very painful wound. Looks like a scratch made by some kind of small animal. And fairly recently too. Whoever scratched her doesn't appear to be around here. Oh, so I guess I just examined it then. I didn't like exactly present. Yes! There we go. Yes, when you recall those horrid events, the claw scratch smarts with pain. Indeed, and simple observation reveals that the wound is fresh. Miss Pavlova, did you in fact receive that scratch sometime last night? Ah! When I think about the young man who died next door, I feel so sad. And when I am sad, the pain from this wound is worse. And it is that very pain that evidences your inextricable link to the victim's death. So we ask, what was the nature of this intruder that stole into the victim's cabin on that portentous night? I said pretentious again. Portentous. I don't know why I keep saying pretentious. I mean, it is pretentious. I don't know. Maybe it's like pretentious. I don't know. Actually, it was the friend with which you boarded this vessel, was it not? Ah, as I suspected. Another telltale glance. Oops, I clicked too early then. Without doubt, your friend is the writhing serpent we see before us. Oh, is it really? Seems likely that the scratch mark on the back of Miss Pavlova's hand was made by this friend of hers, doesn't it? Except, snakes don't have claws, do they? No, they don't. They don't even have hands or feet on which claws might grow. Well then, if that snake isn't her pet, what is? What's the true identity of this friend of hers? We shall follow her gaze, Naruhodo-san. That's where we'll find the answer. So if we rotate... Look down here. Why won't it move? How do you get down there? Ah, just click. I thought it was like you had to drag, but no, you just click. Let's examine it first. Ah, look at the photograph of this frame. This must be something Miss Pavlova brought with her when she ran away. She's exceptionally beautiful, isn't she? Yes, that's true, but personally, it's a little black creature she's holding that's caught my eye. It's got a bell on its neck as well. Maybe we better take a closer look at this. Yep. Look at the little cat Miss Pavlova is cuddling here. Oh, what a cute little kitten. Could vie with you, couldn't it, Naruhodo-san, for the blackest outfit? Ah, a black kitten. From the look of this picture, at least, Miss Pavlova seems very attached to it. So, yep, let's present. Without doubt, your friend is the little kitten we see before us. Yes, the scratch on the back of your hand makes that abundantly clear. Oh no! The whereabouts of this black kitten isn't clear, but what is clear is that you brought the animal with you when you ran away, didn't you? Ah! Darka is my best friend. I couldn't leave her behind. Darka would appear to be a Russian blue. And yet, that fact leaves us in a quandary. The victim's written observations on the night in question tell of a speckled band. Whereas, regrettably, this specimen's markings do not fit that description in any way. What explanation can we then give, pray? What was this sight that fell upon the victim's eyes last night? No, don't look at me. There's nothing to do with any of this. Oh, but it does. You have the answer to this quandary even now, hidden behind your back. Yes, that which you are trying but failing to conceal can only be the snake's sloughed skin. No, it's not. You see that? She just took something out of her pocket and hid it behind her back. If she just left it in her pocket, no one would ever have known. Oh yes, boys like that are Mr. Sholmes' specialty. He's ever so cleverly forced her to reveal something. Thought deduction was his specialty. Maybe making me believe that was a ploy too. Anyway, I find it hard to believe that's the skin of a snake. In which case, just what is Miss Pavlova hiding behind her back? What are you hiding, miss? Whoa! What's that? What is that? What is it? What is it? What is it? There we go. Well, it is speckled, and it is a band, but what is it? It seems to be soft and fluffy, a long piece of cloth of some sort. It looks like a handle at one end. I think it may be a cat's toy. This sort is common in the West, apparently. How is that a toy for cats? Cats like to chase the band around and paw at it. Kittens in particular love that sort of play. You only need to wave it in front of them, and they pounce to catch it. That sounds positively adorable. Oh, so that's what it is.
Yes!
A cat's toy. Yes, the thing you are trying but failing to conceal is, a cat toy. Precisely, and the true nature of the now infamous speckled band. Ah! And it was this toy that you dangled through the ventilator. You waved it around, I presume. Naturally, the victim could not fail to notice it. But why? For what reason? My dear boy, there can only be one answer to that. After her feline friend disappeared through the ventilator into the neighbouring cabin, Miss Pavlova attempted to use the speckled cat's toy to incite the creature to return. Ah. In summary, the nature of this friend of Miss Pavlova's, which last night infiltrated the scene of the crime, is a blithesome Russian blue breed of cat by the name of Darka. A truly troublesome feline young Darka is proving to be. She must be caged once found. You will forgive us for borrowing the photograph of your pet, Miss Pavlova. The photograph of Miss Pavlova and Darker has been entered into the court record. It was after I gave her her food last night. That's when it happened. She scratched the back of my hand and then ran up the bell cord. Before I could do anything, she disappeared. Through the ventilator. Darker. She's so naughty. The conclusion is actually a beloved kitten, not a snake. Topic number 2, how Mr. Asogi died. Moving on, we come to the heart of the matter, the grim demise of the victim. How did this young man lose his life, and why? According to the data of which I have been apprised, it would appear there were no visible signs of injury. In fact, the circumstances of the victim's death can only be explained by terrible venom. Ooh, sorry. Choking on my spit. What Mr. Sholmes says is true. There were no signs of a wound anywhere on the Kazuma-sama's body. That's right. But Mr. Sholmes seems to be unaware of one very important detail. Kazuma wasn't poisoned. Yes, it would seem so. Let's give him the information he's missing now. What do we pick here? Post-mortem report. Which one's that again? That's not it. Post-mortem report. Report from the medical officer. Cause of death as a cervical spine injury.
Yes!
Not venom. In fact, the circumstances of the victim's death can only be explained by the post-mortem report. Ah yes, I knew it was one or the other. His neck was... Indeed, the breaking of the cervical vertebrae is fatal. Only that Goliath would be strong enough to survive that. Seeming strong enough isn't some immortal freak, you know. The jury is out. Anyway, we have on good authority that the victim's neck was broken. Now, if we take that as fact, you can reasonably imagine that there remains evidence to affirm it at the scene of the crime. Oh no! Could there be? Yes, an examination of the deceased body will prove the cause of death conclusively. Oh, will it? Kazuma died because his neck was broken. In other words, he was probably struck by something, or someone. Yes, that's a distinct possibility. As of yet, no weapon has been found though. Presumably Dark didn't silently creep up behind Kazuma and deal him a fatal blow. I suppose. It's possible that he had a fall and hit the ground awkwardly. It could have been a terrible act of misfortune that he broke his neck completely by accident. Oh yes, a bad fall could explain it. I'd rather have to believe a Kazuma-sama though. He wasn't a clumsy man. Well, we need to fix this deduction somehow. Is there anything from the scene that could explain what happened? What we're looking for here. Deceased body present mark on the floor. Oh, is it that one? No. Is it that one? Is it still me to... Represent? Yeah. I think it might have to be... I think it's this one. Revolutionary, blah blah blah, postmortem, blah 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 blah. Ship's log, which has nothing to do with this. I think it might be this.
Yes!
Yep. No. God damn it. That deduction was wanting in every way. Yes, I was wanting you to hear it. I'm quite proud of it. I found myself wanting never to have to hear it. I'm quite pained by it, in fact. Oh, sorry. I'll try again. How do I do it then? Oh, come on, you have to put me through that all again. That's cruel. Yeah, he's bringing me here, so what do I do? It says, on deceased body, present mark on the floor. Well, how do I do that? Oh, I do that. Is that how I do it? Do I do that? What am I doing here? This guy is no help to me at all. I really thought it would be this, because it said mark on the floor. And that's what it is. The Russian word for wardrobe in purple ink. Oh my god, I don't know what I'm doing here now. Oh, that's the mark on the floor. I thought it meant the writing. I'm an idiot. That's my fault. I'm an idiot. Yes! I thought it meant the writing, like, you know, he couldn't have written on the floor if his neck had been broken. Yes, an examination of the mark on the floor will prove the cause of death conclusively. This particular mark, so prominently visible next to the victim's body, is a deposit of shoe polish. I'm a dumb person. Shoe polish. Indeed, positively identified by a little analysis device I constructed, which I carry now as a matter of course. Beeswax, tallow and dye were my results, the undeniable ingredients of shoe polish. And the colour of the polish is a perfect match to the colour of Mr. Asogi's lace leather shoes. Looking at this mark, it's not hard to imagine what happened. For some reason, Mr. Asogi must have caught his foot at that point on the floor and tripped. Please, no! And by a dreadful turn of misfortune, caught his neck against some immovable object as he fell to the floor. Suffering a fatal blow to the spine, the victim's vertebrae shattered, and in that instant, he lost his life. No! I don't know anything about this. Is that really true, Miss Pavlova? What about the evidence left at the scene where Mr. Asogi lost his life? Yes, the facts are as clear as day to me. You did all you could to conceal the incriminating evidence. But now your involuntary glance betrays the hiding place you chose. That's right, you hid the evidence that links you to the victim's death in that travelling case. I don't believe it. Kazuma-sama merely tripped over and now he's no more? Can't be true. I refuse to accept it. I know it's hard to believe, but the mark on the floor does seem to suggest that's what happened. But if this part of Mr. Sholmes' introduction is right, Miss Pavlova is trying to hide some evidence that would prove it. Here in this cabin, somewhere in the direction that she just cast her eyes. Where, I wonder? Let's have a good look around. The answer must be here somewhere. Oh, is that it? Tiara? No. Rotate to the left. Examine the waste paper basket. This way. It's here where she's hiding something. I was going to say, why would she hide something with the tiara? She can't hide anything in the tiara. Examine it first. This is a waste paper basket. Perhaps all the first class cabins have them. But Miss Pavlova only started occupying this cabin late last night. Presumably there's not much rubbish in there yet. Oh, what's that? It's a broken piece of glass, isn't it? Yes, it is. And I feel like I've seen it somewhere before. If it looks familiar, perhaps it's more than your mind simply playing tricks on you. Yes! Let's present that then. That's right, you hid the evidence that links you to the victim's death in that waste paper basket. Ah! Here we have a fragment of some intricate glass object, it would seem, one that has a familiar air in fact. Precisely, we found another piece of broken glass on the floor in Mr. Asogi's cabin. And as you can see, the two pieces fit together perfectly. Oh no! So, Miss Pavlova, shall we consider what this tells us? Why would it be that part of this glass object, which was evidently broken at the scene of the victim's death, should be found in the waste paper basket in your cabin? Yeah! You're well acquainted with this glass bell, are you not? I don't know. Is that hushed Russian accent of yours? Well, yeah. I don't know in that hushed Russian accent of yours won't save you this time, dear girl. Why? Because we have conclusive evidence linking you to the bell in question. What? Take it away, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes. The evidence linking Miss Pavlova and the little glass bell, that would be... this.
Yes!
The kitty cat. If you look at this photograph, you can clearly see, hanging from Darker's collar, the very glass bell in question. The truth has caught up with you, Miss Pavlova. The young man who lost his life last night did so after a truly inauspicious fall. And the cause of that fateful stumble? Your absent feline friend, Darker. I couldn't tell anyone. I'm sorry. The actual conclusion was death by tripping over a cat. Deduction complete. Elementary. Why don't you tell us now, Miss Pavlova? Tell us exactly what happened last night. It was a little after 1 in the morning. It was so late, but I hadn't had time to feed Darker, so I gave her some food. And then, all of a sudden, she scratched me and jumped out of my hands. People do say that cats become very anxious and nervous in new environments. She was so fast, she disappeared through the ventilator before I could stop her. And that is how you acquired the rather nasty wound on the back of your hand, I take it. Yes. And I had read the rules on the wall. I knew that I was not allowed Darker with me. Yes, modern science suggests that animals can carry infectious diseases. It's a precaution, really. So I listened and listened, trying to hear if there was some noise in the next cabin. It was very quiet. I was sure if someone was there, he must be sleeping. But at that point, you thought it safe to try to lure the kitten back again? By dangling the end of the toy with the ventilator into the adjoining cabin. Darker always loves this toy, but it didn't work. Nothing worked. I tried using her favourite toy, I tried whistling to her softly, but nothing. She didn't return. The faint whistling sound Kazuma wrote about in his diary was Miss Pavlova, trying to retrieve her pet. Cats have a propensity to remain hidden in the shadows when frightened. Yes, so there was nothing else I could do. I just had to wait until she calmed down. But then... I nearly passed out with shock. I heard her cry out, and then... oh, it was such a dreadful bang. Then afterwards, nothing. It was totally silent. Kazuma was... From the appearance of the brown mark on the floor, it seems likely that what you heard was the victim stepping on the glass bell and tripping up. Yes, Hesperia is a large vessel, but even she can pitch and roll violently without warning. Mr. Isoga was already off balance as a result of the ship lurching when the kitten got under his feet. The combination of unfortunate factors could easily have caused him to fall over. But what became of the kitten afterwards? In the end, I managed to get her to come back through the ventilator. Yet Darker is nowhere to be seen. I must have forgotten to lock my case. And now she's disappeared again. Gracious, that cat is as insufferably restless as I am. Well, he knows something about himself at least. When I woke this morning, I heard that a young man in the cabin next to mine had died. But I couldn't bring myself to tell anyone what had happened. I was too scared. scared that they would send me back. Oh, hold on a minute. What about the snake? You're right. Where is it? If the snake isn't your friend, Miss Pavlova, then whose is it? And where did it come from? What on earth is such a dangerous creature doing on board this ship? Oh, I didn't say. Snake is my friend. His name is Piroshko. Something like that. Hmm? What? What? That snake belongs to you. He escaped from cage when the emergency alarm sounded. I was looking for him. I did not expect to find him in here. Yes, how did that snake get into this cabin? But animals are not permitted on board. Ha! We were at sea for 1 year. You want to be so long without a close friend, without someone who understands? Wouldn't you find someone a little more human who understands you better? But my dear Burtley fellow, a gargantuan venomous snake? Surely you can appreciate the danger you're putting everyone in. No venom. Huh? Piroshko does not have venom. He is harmless, very long but very gentle. He is adorable, like Granny. It's venomless? Yes. Now he is hungry, so he is in bad mood. But once I feed him, you will see big smile. And you feed him what? Milk, I suppose? Ha! Like they say they milk chickens. Ridiculous. Snakes that drink milk are only in stupid stories. Piroshko eats mouses. Big fat round mouses. Ah, oh, so is that what the mousetrap in the passageway out there is for? Of course. How else can I catch my friend's favourite food? Nothing says top of the food chain like the look in their eyes right now. But what if the shit runs out of mices? You know, I know that there are mice on ships, but surely at some point, over maybe a year, I guess if you're stopping off every now and again at places, more mice can get onto the ship. I don't know. Anyway. It refuses to drink milk, it can't hear a whistle, it can't climb up a bell cord, and it's not even venomous. How would the deuce did something so inept land a starring role? It's not my fault. I do not make up stories. My Piroshko has nothing to do with this incident. So that's what happened. That's the truth behind my best friend's tragic death. Oh, what's she thinking? Miss Pavlova. I understand the difficult situation you've found yourself in, and I do sympathise. But please remember this. A young man lost his life. If you're going to attempt to cover up your guilt with lies, then no matter what the circumstances, I cannot forgive you. But what are you talking about, Miss Mikotoba? What lies? Miss Pavlova just confessed everything. Not everything. It was just a series of unfortunate events. An accident. See Sholmes knows. I'm no great detective like Mr. Sholmes. I don't have a gift for knowing the truth. But even I can see that was not the truth. Don't you agree, Mr. Naruhodo? To be perfectly honest, yes. There's a discrepancy in Miss Pavlova's story, I'm sure of it. I just can't quite put my finger on it. I confess, I was intending to let Scotland Yard deal with any outstanding issues on this matter. Oh. I'm only present here for a very specific reason. The truth is, you, Mr. Naruhodo, are simply a distraction. A distraction? I do hope you've not been finding your shackles too uncomfortable. Ah, not again. When did he do that? Especially as they're on your wrists as a result of my intervention. I was rather hoping I could resolve matters before we made our next port call. You Mr. Sholmes? Yes, but I overlooked one important detail. The deceased young man was a very close companion of yours. Was he not? Yes. Kazuma was my closest friend. I owed him my freedom, even. In that case, we must follow this to its conclusion. No further distractions. You must uncover the real truth here, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, whatever that may be. The key to this is the discrepancy in Miss Pavlova's story, I'm sure. If I can chase that down, maybe the truth will become clear. The truth about how you really died. About how that scene in your cabin really came to be. Alright, I'll see what I can do. Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Naruhodo. So then, shall we begin? Yes. What we should ponder first is the victim who lost his life in a cabin that was bolted shut from the inside. Was this truly an unfortunate accident? Or was it in fact no accident at all? That is what we must establish in the first instance. We've already established it, haven't we? The man tripped over the kitten that had climbed into his cabin via the ventilator. Tragic, yes, but still an accident.
Hold it!
Wait, let's just take a step back. It doesn't make sense if that's really what happened, does it? I'm going to have to ask you to spell it out for me, I'm afraid. Yes, it's starting to take shape now. There's a clear contradiction between the facts and Miss Pavlova's story here. The evidence is right there in Kazuma's cabin. It's undeniable. His death couldn't possibly have been a mere accident. Really? Let us show our hand, Mr. Naruhodo. Time to present the evidence. The evidence that proves unequivocally that the victim's death was no mere accident. Now can I present the writing on the floor? I do believe I am presenting the crime scene photograph. Because I don't think I'm presenting Pavlova a darker photograph. I don't think that would make sense. Yeah.
Yes!
The truth is clearly recorded in this photographic print. There's no way that Mr. Asogi could have left this message on the floor. That script, it's Russian, isn't it? Indeed it is. The word written means wardrobe. See what you mean. Most people would leave a dying message in their native language. Japanese in this case. But maybe he was studying Russian. This is a simple language. He could have picked it up very fast. That doesn't seem likely. That's actually not the point. It makes no difference whether he knew Russian or not. Sorry? What do you mean? Exactly what I said before. There is no way that Mr. Asogi could have left this message on the floor. And the reason why is clearly explained in here. Damage to the cervical vertebrae resulting in instant death. Instant death. Ah! Which means, after the victim fell to the floor, he couldn't possibly have written anything, because he was already dead. That's not the only reason either. There's something else we found in Mr. Asogi's cabin. A remnant of something that couldn't possibly have been there if what Mr. Pavlova told us was true. What? Josuzetto-san has noticed it too then. Putting this message on the floor aside, there's something else that gives the truth away. Another piece of evidence that proves this was no accident. In other words, the mark on the floor.
Yes!
Half the bell's still there. Why? This piece of broken glass next to the mark on the floor. But that's the glass bell the kitten had around its neck. We already know all about that. It was broken in half when the victim tripped over the cat and fell. So we already have a satisfactory explanation. Where's the flaw in that logic? Unfortunately, there is a very big flaw. A fatal flaw. What? If that's really what happened, Then how did one half of the bell end up back here in this cabin? Ah. Yes, remember that we found the other half of the glass bell in that waste paper basket. Would you care to explain that, Miss Pavlova? Oh no! Both these pieces of evidence clearly point to the same conclusion. That when Mr. Asogi died last night in his cabin... Ugh, God, that's creepy. There was someone else in the room. And that same person deliberately arranged the scene to disguise the truth, in order to cover up his or her own guilt. Yeah. Yes, there was someone else present in Mr. Asogi's... You are wasting time. Someone else was there? Yeah, of course, we know this. What are you talking about? Bulkhead was bolted shut from inside. There was no way in or out. Oh, yes. The only other person in the cabin when young student died was you.
Yes!
It's true, I was in the cabin when it happened. You were shut inside the cabin wardrobe to be precise about the details. But I don't know Russian. There's no way I would have left that message. Not would have. There's no way you could have left that message. To be precise about the details. Would you mind? Forgive me, my dear fellow. As I was saying, the person in question wrote the word wardrobe in Russian on the floor, in an attempt to incriminate me for the crime even though I had been asleep in there the entire time. And then, the same person picked up the broken glass bell that had fallen to the floor, for fear of it becoming evidence that would show how Mr. Asogi really died. Why wouldn't this person have taken all the pieces of the bell away? Leaving half behind was always going to raise questions. Yes, well, it was past 1 o'clock in the early hours of the morning. The cabin would have been quite dark. A single small lamp suspended from the ceiling would barely have cast any light onto the floor there. Little wonder then that the culprit failed to notice a fragment of the tiny item. You all suspect me, don't you? Seaman Stroganoff. Nina is woman of sea. She's daughter of strong sailor. 2 years ago, they noticed her dancing skills and she went away to join ballet company. But before, she was dancer on the ship, a member of ship's band. You don't accuse Ship's Angel of being criminal. Ah, so that's it. You see that when young student died, Nina was there in his cabin. That is not possible. I give my tooth. Oh, well. This is all most interesting. And why would you give your tooth, pray? How can you be so sure? Huh. You are a great detective, you should know. Look truth in eyes. Cabin bulkhead was bolted shut from inside. Nobody could go into cabin. Not Nina, not anyone. Or you want to tell me that killer can walk through locked doors? Yet, it's impossible. He's right. But wait, I've read about this in detective stories. People often tie thread around door latches so they can open and close them from the outside. Red, are you stupid? These bulkheads are not barn doors. Certainly not. These are watertight doors as one would expect to find on any modern steamship. Constructed of heavy steel with not a gap in sight. No threads or needles or magnets could have been used. No, of course not. I thought so too. But Mr. Naruhodo suggested it earlier, so... Sacho-san, how could you shift it onto me like that? So Seaman Stroganoff has a valid point. The cabin door just couldn't have been bolted shut from the outside. Not necessarily. What? I put it to you that I could bolt this cabin door without laying a finger on it. And in this very cabin, we can see the traces of the method I have in mind having been used before. I don't believe it. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, I believe you know what I mean, don't you? Way to shut the bolt of the cabin door from the outside. One way does spring to mind, yes. You really know what Mr. Shones means, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, and so should you. Because we've seen it happen. Indeed we have. So, would you care to do the honours, Mr. Naruhodo? Point out the telling signs of the method that was used to slide the cabin door bolt across from the outside. The bookcase. Pretty sure? Wait. Oh. I would have thought like it, you know, did the highlight thing, but it doesn't. Pretty sure it's a bookcase. Yeah, bookcase. Present.
Yes!
Look at the bookcase there. See how all the books and things on it have toppled over? That must have happened when the ship made its emergency stop before. Yes, that's right. It's a very powerful vessel after all. When the engines are thrown into reverse, a violent jolt goes across the entire ship. Any small objects that aren't fastened down are bound to fall over. I believe, yes, it's what's known as the force of inertia acting on the objects. Is there nothing Suzasu-san doesn't know? Or that isn't in her book at least. Well, whatever it's called, the same force that pushed over those books on the bookcase also made something else in this cabin move. The bolt on the cabin door. Ah! It was very obvious just after the emergency stop that the ship had made earlier. We had come into this cabin not long before, and we hadn't bolted the door. But then... Hello, is anybody in there? Shout if you need assistance. Oh, that sounds like... Inspector Hosonaga. Oh yes. That's it. When the ship stopped suddenly, the bolt flew across and locked the door. Yes, it's made of metal, but it's small and light enough to be moved by the ship's sudden change of speed. Or the force of inertia, if you want to call it that. Were you trying to say that last night, after Mr. Isoga was killed... The SS Beria made another emergency stop? When I woke up this morning and looked around the cabin, I thought it looked a little odd. All the books on the shelves had toppled over, and all the ornaments. It was almost as if someone had run their hand across the shelves and deliberately knocked everything over. Oh yes, I remember that. And I stood them all up again, didn't I? Then when we came into this cabin, we were surprised to see the same thing in here. All the books and everything had toppled over, just like in Mr. Isogi's cabin. Oh my! You have anything to say about this, Miss Pavlova? You're out of your mind. You say Beria made an emergency stop. It does seem a little far-fetched. How could that possibly have happened? Unless you're saying that the culprit is actually someone from the engine room. Oh, it is simple enough. Are you forgetting the button in the passageway outside? Used to trigger the emergency alarm? Oh yes, of course. There was a notice, wasn't there? Telling you only to press the button in times of emergency. On dark nights when the fog is dense, the captain cannot afford to rely on the eyes of his lookout alone. Hence the placement of a number of buttons around the vessel to allow any crewman to raise the alarm. The sort of button one is almost compelled to press to satisfy one's curiosity. Uh-oh. Wait, it was you? When the button is pressed, two things happen in the interests of safety. Emergency alarm bell rings and the vessel comes to a complete stop. As indeed it did a little earlier today. Mr. Sholmes, surely it wasn't you who... As I always say, a button has but one purpose in life. Be pressed, whatever the occasion. Sounds almost proud of himself. How dare you mess with ship? I report you to Captain. You're in much trouble now. Now, I'm sure all that can wait until later. Let us not overlook the fact that we have now learnt a valuable lesson. When the vessel makes an emergency stop, the bolts on the cabin doors slide closed. That is a very, very bad safety feature. Like, that is very bad. Like, that should not happen, because everyone should be trapped in their rooms. That's not good. So what we must now consider... Yes, it all comes down to one thing now. Last night, after what had happened to Mr. Asogi, did this ship make an emergency stop, or did it not? You are idiots. Beria is a huge ship with many passengers. If you make an emergency stop, even in the middle of night, there would be chaos everywhere. What are your thoughts, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, it's certainly possible that some kind of emergency happened last night. We have evidence to support that idea. Really? What evidence, Mr. Naruhodo? Fascinating. Do show us, my good man. What evidence promotes the theory that some emergency gripped this vessel last night? Where is it? That's not it. There we are. Ship's log. No entry from 2 AM until early this morning.
Yes!
Seaman Stroganoff. It's your duty to patrol the first class area of the ship, isn't that right? Da. That is correct. Why? And the ship's log here, this would be where you record the details of your duties. What are you doing with that? That is mine. Ah, you rather carelessly left it atop the little makeshift bureau in the passageway out there. But as responsible passengers, we took it into our care with the mind to return it to you later. I left it there on purpose. That is where I put it always. The point is, looking at what you usually record, it's clear that under normal circumstances, you write the phrase "nothing to report" every 30 minutes. But from 2 o'clock last night until first light this morning, nothing was recorded at all. Nothing recorded in the log? That is... because nothing happened. If nothing happened, you would normally write "nothing to report," wouldn't you? Indeed so, which tells us that shortly after 2 AM, something happened. Here aboard the SS Beria. Something sufficiently significant to make you forget to fill in the ship's log, in fact. Are you suggesting that the ship really did make an emergency stop in the middle of the night? Stop talking rubbish! If I'm perfectly honest, I find that a little hard to believe myself. Oh? Why? Well, because if something as major as an emergency stop really had happened, surely all of us would have noticed. That's very true. Thanks to the emergency stop we experienced earlier, we all know what it feels like now. The ship lurched so violently, and the alarm bell was so loud, I can't imagine that anybody would sleep through that, even if it happened in the dead of night. Well, no, that's a good point. What of the throbbing? Sorry? What do you mean? Your head, man. The throbbing of your head since this morning. We have all suffered with it. Ah! Oh, yes. I have had a headache. You're right. In fact, I haven't been feeling myself since I woke up today. Nor have I. My head has been feeling heavy ever since dawn. Yes, you've all been afflicted, haven't you? Just as I suspected. That's right. My head's been throbbing today too. Since eating dinner yesterday evening, everything has felt sort of hazy. I can't really remember anything that happened after I climbed back inside the wardrobe. Then the first thing I noticed this morning was the throbbing pain in my head. I'd already been dragged out of the wardrobe and had those handcuffs put on me by that point. Why didn't I wake up when all of that was happening to me? Tell me, Mr. Naruhodo, you boarded this vessel as a stowaway, didn't you? Oh, well, yes. Sorry. The stowaway class of accommodation doesn't usually include meals. What did you survive on? Ah, well, Kazuma looked after me. He was always happy to share his meals. So you enjoyed some of the whole roast chicken dish that was served yesterday evening, I take it? Yes, in fact, I had all of that. Kazuma wasn't fond of chicken. Oh really? So the victim didn't eat any of the chicken at all? That's right, he didn't touch it. Is that relevant? My dear fellow, does that not strike you? Oh, Mr. Sholmes, do you mean to say that there was something wrong with the chicken? I do. No, really? Is that really true? The meal prepared for the passengers last night had been tampered with. Tampered with by the addition of a soporific, designed to induce a very deep slumber in those who consumed it. A sleeping drug. Do you mean whoever did this laced every meal with a sleeping drug so no one would notice the ship's emergency stop? Mr. Naruhodo, of course that's not what Mr. Sholmes means. What a far-fetched idea. Precisely. Lacing every meal of every passenger on board with the soporific drug will certainly be impossible. Unless, that is, every single member of the crew was a conspirator. What? Mr. Sholmes? Well, Seaman. Eh? I'm sorry to say that any more deception in this matter will get you nowhere. If you refuse to talk, there would have to be an inquiry made through the shipping company, of course. And were that to happen, every member of the crew, and the captain himself, would be hauled over the coals. For aiding and abetting a renegade. Please, no more. I will tell everything. Eh? I cannot make problems like this for everyone anymore. These crewmen are your former comrades, I believe. Yes, so when I decided to run away, I asked them to help me. We all agreed to help, everyone together. She threw away everything, her fame in the ballet, Mother Russia. We wanted to help our angel. I don't believe it. You are right. We put sleeping drug in chicken last night. Yes, I remember now. I did notice chewing on a lump of something strange and bitter at one point. We could not make all drug. How do you say, dissolve? I'll talk about heavy seasoning. At midnight, in waters near Shanghai, we brought our angel on board. She was helped by a comrade on shore with a small fishing boat. While all the passengers of the SS Beria slept soundly. Thanks to the almost magical effects of the slumber-inducing potion their evening meals had contained. So if that's what happened, the only people awake on the ship last night were the crew, people who dislike chicken, and the newly boarded passenger, Miss Pavlova. And that means it would have been possible for you. You could have used the emergency stop trick to lock Kazuma's cabin door. But how does that make sense? Surely every cabin door would have ended up locked in that case, and there would have been complete chaos. Oh, I wouldn't say so. What? Ah, of course. Just like us, all the other passengers would have eaten their evening meal of chicken in their cabins. After which they would have been overwhelmed by tiredness because of the sleeping drug. Quite, and accordingly, all the passengers were already in their cabins for the night. Yes. The overwhelming majority of passengers would have habitually sleep with their cabin doors bolted anyway. I can't speak. And so not one of them would have found it remarkable to find the door locked in the morning. In summary, in order to fasten the bolt of a single cabin door on the ship, the culprit brought the entire vessel to an emergency stop in the early hours of the morning. So all the locks are on the same side of the doors. So what about the doors facing the other direction? Are the bolts on the same side as well there? Because I don't know. I just realised, I think his cravat thing there looks like a fish. I think I just realised that. You've talked a long time and said many things. What is point? The point is what I said earlier. There was somebody else present on the scene when the victim lost his life last night. Someone who left a message in Russian on the floor in an attempt to incriminate another. Someone who tried desperately to hide the broken fragment of glass that would reveal the culprit's identity. and someone who abused the ship's emergency stop procedure in order to lock a door. All told, a busy night. But... I don't know anything about any of this. I'm just a little girl. You'd like to speak with your long English words and explain your clever ideas. But I am sailor, and sailors don't listen to long, boring stories. We don't believe. Sailors like me, we trust only what we see with our eyes. He wants evidence. A laudable trait. What? I am quite of the same disposition, my good man. Observation to me is everything. Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, yes? You hear it? That accusatory cry of guilt on the wind? What accusatory cry of guilt? Sorry, you've lost me. Proof of involvement, man. But you can't hear such a call with your ears. No, you must hear it with your eyes. Observation is the basis of all deduction. What are you talking about? I believe the time has come. A one final logic and reasoning spectacular. To expose the truth. So, Mr. Naruhodo, your assistance, if you please. With what exactly, Mr. Sholmes? With observation, my dear fellow, just as I said. Of these two prevaricators. What is that word? I've never seen that word in my life. Prevaricators. I thought I was going to say provocateurs, but that's not the right word. Prevaricators. Observation? If you remember, Mr. Naruhodo, we know that somebody tried to fabricate evidence, don't we? By tampering with the scene of the Mr. Asogi's death. What we're looking for is some trace of evidence that one of these two was there when it happened. Precisely. You were delightfully quick to grasp my meaning. Alright, let's see what I can see. So we're looking for a trace of evidence that shows someone else was there last night when Kazuma died. Right, we've got to now rotate. Would you look at that? Oh, look at this. It's some kind of stain in an unusual place. Yes, you're right. Looks like ink, if I'm not mistaken. Ink. And look at the colour too. It's clear where this came from. Yep. So,
Yes!
Seaman Stroganoff, you seem to have quite a large purple stain on the back of your white uniform there. Eh? Ah, yes, I don't know where the dirt comes from. So nothing in particular comes to mind about the stain. What are you trying to say? It would appear that the significance of this stain has escaped your attention, Seaman. How was to make it plain? It's a very large purple stain on the back of Seaman Stroganoff's uniform. And I think what made it is clear. Indeed it is. So Mr. Naruhodo, present the evidence that proves it. My pleasure. Alright then. The evidence that proves what that stain on the back of Seaman Stroganoff's uniform really is... yeah, crime scene photograph.
Yes!
Yes, it's this photograph, and the ink it shows. That's what caused the stain on your uniform. Ink? A rather unusual colour of ink, purple. Ah, the penny drops, at last. Now you see the significance. The Russian word on the floor next to the victim's body was written in purple ink. And the stain on the back of the uniform is ink of exactly the same colour. If the ink had been dry, it couldn't have possibly have stained your uniform in that way. Which means... you must have been present in the cabin in the moments immediately after the ink was spilt. Alright, yes. It was me. I did it. Everything. I arranged everything in Dead Student's cabin to make it look like Wardrobe Man did it. Then I press button to make Burrier do emergency stop and bolt cabin door shut. I did everything so no one would suspect our angel. Biff, please. Don't worry, Angel. let me do talking. It was after 1 in the morning. I was on duty patrolling passageway. Then our angel came to me. She was white like sheet. Biff, please, you must help me. I went with her. The door to cabin number 1 was open. When I looked inside, I saw student boy on floor. What happened here? Please, don't tell anyone. My little one, my little furry friend. Everything that happened in the cabin is like Angel told you. The kitten escaped through the ventilator into Mr. Asogi's cabin, then he tripped over it and broke his neck when he fell to the floor? Yes, that is right. So after the incident when the cat ran away, Miss Pavlova then visited the cabin next to hers, only to find his occupant lying lifeless on the floor. She said she was worried when she heard sound of something falling on floor. That's when she went to look. No, Angel? The door was not locked, so she opened to look, and you already know what happened after. There's just one thing, if you wouldn't mind. What? When you went to Mr. Asogi's cabin, Miss Pavlova, was he already dead? Why? I already told you. When Nina opened the door of student's cabin and looked inside, I was asking Miss Pavlova. Well, Miss Pavlova? Da. Oh. Yes, that is right. I saw him. It was dark, and he was wearing black, but he was on the floor, not moving. I was scared. I understand, and I believe you. So is that finally it now? Have we discovered the real truth about Kazuma's death at last? Something very nearly slipped my mind. Oh, Mr. Sholmes? This photograph. Yes, I took this myself, you know. Cause of death was a broken neck, therefore the victim died instantly. And the unfortunate incident that precipitated these events, a kitten, on which the victim stumbled. However, if those are the facts, there is one particular area in this photograph that seems to be somewhat unnatural. What do you mean, unnatural? What are your thoughts on the matter, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh, well... If Kazuma tripped and fell, and by some terrible stroke of bad luck broke his neck, which part of this photographic print seems unnatural? I do believe... it is his hand. Left hand,
Yes!
yeah. Alright, if he really fell due to an unfortunate accident, then this fist just doesn't seem quite right. The exact same thought occurred to me. In a fall, one's instinct is to open the palms flat. Yet here we see the victim with his left hand tightly balled into a fist. Almost, you might say, as though he were gripping something. What do you mean? Simply that I took the liberty of investigating the victim's fist a short while ago. You did? And what, pray, do you imagine I found there, my dear fellow? Mr. Sholmes, show us, please. Why, of course, my dear madam. Would I keep you in suspense? Uh-oh, this is what I found. Oh, a crescent moon with a little gemstone in the middle. Yes, you're right. Crescent moon. Very pretty, but what does it tell us? It tells us nothing. I'm not so sure. That crescent moon looks familiar somehow. I'm sure I've seen it somewhere before. Observation, Mr. Naruhodo. That is the key. What? The truth is now tantalizingly close. How did that crescent moon come to be in Kazuma's clenched fist? This is the final clue, the last piece of the puzzle. Ask yourself, what does this little crescent moon mean? What significance has it? And observe. Find the answer with your own eyes. Uh-oh. Look at that. Look, there's one there. But there ain't one there. That is not good. Can I not present it? There we go.
Yes!
Miss Pavlova, I noticed that on your ear. Even though you have a metal earring, the decorative part of it seems to be missing. The little link holding it on must have broken, I suppose. Eh? What? But looking at your other ear, I noticed a crescent moon. Ah! Don't believe it. Now the missing crescent moon was found in the victim's clenched fist. Clearly there is only one logical conclusion. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes. Miss Pavlova, Mr. Osogi must have grasped that crescent moon and pulled it from your ear. Perhaps just moments before he fell to the floor. In other words, last night in Mr. Osogi's cabin, you witnessed the moment when the victim fell with your own eyes. In fact, you were quite literally at arm's length from him. But then the question is, why did Mr. Osogi do that? Why did he pull your earring from your ear and hold it in his clenched fist during his final moments? Oh no! Angel? No one can protect you now. Please, Miss Pavlova, tell us the truth. Last night, what did you do to Kazuma? Yeah! When I think about everything that happened yesterday, it was too much. Running away, the fishing boat in the middle of the night, trying to climb onto this huge ship. And then, when I was at last in this cabin and I could relax after this horrible long day. Darker, wait! I couldn't believe it when she disappeared through the ventilator. I tried to call her with a little whistle. I tried waving her favourite toy, but nothing worked. Darker would not come back. What are you doing here at this time of night, Inspector? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was a friend of mine. The young man from your country, he was very polite and kind. He helped me to find Darker, and he promised not to tell anyone. But then, when I had my friend in my arms again, and I was going to leave the man's cabin... Just a moment, sorry, but... Oh, yes? Sure I know your face. I've seen you somewhere before. Ah, of course. You're Nikolina Pavlova, aren't you? The Russian ballerina. Huh? No, I don't know that name. My heart nearly stopped when he said that. He knew who I was. How could this man from a land in the faraway east know a Russian ballerina? Yes, I saw your performance in Japan. The beauty of the ballet made a deep impression on me. But what are you doing on this ship? Sure, I read that your ballet company was performing in Shanghai at the moment. I can't fool him. I have to tell him the truth and hope he doesn't tell anyone. I have no other choice. I see. So you've run away. Please keep my secret. Don't tell anyone. Give me a moment. I could use another opinion here. He's going to pull that cord. He's going to tell the captain. Why did I think I could trust him? Then it happened. Everything at once. It was only a second, but it felt like forever. Wait! I shouted, and then Darker jumped out of my arms and down to the young man's feet. And as he turned around to look at me, oh, on the bedpost, I pushed him. I don't even know why. I don't know why I did it. I was just so scared. And I had to stop him from telling anyone about me. And that's when you went to fetch help from Seaman Stroganoff, who was on duty out in the passageway. I heard Nina cry out and thud on the floor, so I ran to her. She was standing at cabin door, shaking like a leaf. She looked at me and said, "Help me, Biff. If they find out, I'll be... Please, I have nowhere to go." You decided to help, and that's when you arranged things in Kazuma's cabin to make it look like I did it, so that no one would suspect the passenger in the cabin next door. Yes, I went into the cabin and looked around to make sure there was nothing to show Nina was there. And then I found Stowaway, in wardrobe, still sleeping. Right, that's when he found me. He worked out a plan to lay the blame on the Stowaway. I closed wardrobe doors and put back strange paper side. Luckily for me, that's the only reason Susato-san started to believe me when I said I was innocent. I dragged young man's body to a good place and used ink that was spilling to write on the floor. I wrote that word, so that person who found him would look inside wardrobe and find Stowaway. And tell me, what of the glass bell? It was by my feet, so I picked it up. I see. It was dark in the cabin, I didn't notice the other half. Then Angel went back to her cabin, and I finished job by pressing the emergency alarm button in the passageway. Yes. Accordingly, the SS Superior did indeed come to an emergency halt at a little after 2 AM, thus enticing thus enticing the bolt on the cabin door to slide shut, creating the locked room mystery. There's still one thing I don't understand, Miss Pavlova. What? Well, you said that you told Kazuma about the fact that you'd run away from your homeland, and it's because you were worried he was going to tell the captain that you pushed him. Isn't that right? Yes. But even if he had pulled the bell cord and called for the captain of the ship, aren't you friends with every member of the crew? Why would that have been a problem? It was what he said first that made me scared. What he said first? What are you doing here at this time of night, Inspector? Oh. I'm sorry. I thought it was a friend of mine. He said an inspector was his friend. Ah, yes, meaning me. Who was supposed to be acting as his bodyguard. I thought that if police knew about me, they would arrest me. So before he could pull the bell cord, May I stop you a moment, please, Miss Pavlova? It just doesn't seem to make sense. I mean, was Mr. Asogi really going to pull the bell cord? I don't know. What? What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, I'm not Kazuma, so I can't know for certain, but he was a man of his own. It was a man of his word. If he told you he wouldn't give your secret away, then he wouldn't have done. No, he was walking over to it. He was going to pull the cord. He was going to make them send me back. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, the day's work is not yet done, it seems. There is one more deduction to make. What? Another deduction? Yep. What action was the victim really about to take at that moment? Can we determine whether the young man's gaze was directed? First, consider the victim's location within his cabin. That's easy. Remember every detail of that room. I mean, yes, I spent quite a lot of time in the wardrobe, but still. That cabin has been my home for this entire voyage. So this is how the cabin looked last night, when Miss Pavlova visited Kazuma-sama? Yes, it's exactly how it was. Are you ready then, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes. If there's one thing I've learnt today, it's that a simple gaze can reveal all manner of truths. And not only that, in order to draw the right conclusion, you can't afford to be out by even a little bit when you're following the gaze to where it lands. So, when he turned away from Miss Pavlova, what exactly was Kazuma looking at? Yeah, he was looking at the wardrobe. He was looking at the wardrobe. I'm just going to present it. Oops. Oh, that one was bad.
Take that!
Considering everything that had happened last night, certainly it may have looked as though Kazuma was going to ring the bell cord. Yes, however, was directly beside the bell cord, the wardrobe. The wardrobe? And more importantly, what was inside the wardrobe? The man's great friend, sleeping soundly. Miss Pavlova, please, think back very carefully. What were Mr. Asogi's exact words last night? Give me a moment, I could use another opinion here. Another opinion? Yes, but not from a member of the crew. No, Mr. Asogi intended to consult his close friend on the matter. See if between them, they might be able to help in some way, no doubt. Oh no! Sadly, we can't know the truth for certain now. It's too late for that. But I wish you had made sure of what Mr. Asogi was looking at. Things may have ended very differently, if you had. Miss Pavlova? I want to thank you for finally admitting the truth. But unfortunately, the truth is, a man lost his life because of what you did. And that will never change. I hope you'll never forget that. I'm sorry. Really. I'm so sorry. What have I done? And so, at long last, the mystery surrounding the tragic accident on the SS Beria was finally laid to rest. The 9th of January, 7:14 PM, SS Beria, first class, cabin, passageway. What will happen to Miss Pavlova now then? Once we reach Great Britain, she'll be handed over to the British police at Scotland Yard. What about the fact that she ran away from Russia? Won't the Russians try to repatriate her? Apparently, the English detective can speak to the immigration office and sort all that out. Mr. Sholmes can do that? So she won't be going back to Russia then? No, I don't think so. Even if she wanted to return in the future, I doubt she will be able to. He ran away, so now she's in exile for life. I see. I'm sorry. See, Miss Stroganoff? I wanted to help our angel, no matter what. But I didn't think about you, about how you lost good friend. I will go with Nina. I will give myself to British police. That's kind of you. In the meantime, thank you for letting me go free again. Kazuma's death feels like such a waste, but... well, do what you can for Miss Pavlova, won't you? Da. Well, I'm afraid you need to pack now. We're due to arrive in Hong Kong tomorrow. As much as it pains me, I'm going to have to hand you over to the consul to arrange your passage back to Japan. Yes, I did stow away after all. I couldn't really expect any different. So you should get back to your cabin now. It looks like my study tour to Great Britain is over before it's even begun then. To think that only days ago Kazuma and I were laughing together about how we'd tear up the streets of London. That seems like a distant memory now. Oh, what's that? Is it someone weeping? Zazo-san? Naruhodo-san, I didn't know you'd returned. Oh, well, I haven't been back long. Inspector Hosonaga just told me I should pack. You know, ready to leave the ship tomorrow and all that. I still can't believe this has happened. Can't believe someone's life can be over just like that. Zato-san. He had such grand ideas for this visit to Great Britain, so many dreams, and now they've been cruelly taken away, just as he has. I thought I could never forgive the person responsible. But now we know the truth, that it was just an accident, just a silly series of mishaps. It's too much, Naruhodo-san. It's just too much. Yes, I know. I wish there was something I could say. Inspector, my duty was to see Asogi-san safely to Great Britain, but I failed, and caused his two closest friends great pain and suffering as a result. I've let everyone down, and I will do anything to make up for my terrible blunder. Nobody blames you, Inspector. And I'm free again now. Huh? Surprised, Mr. Naruhodo. What is the meaning of this? Oh, a trifling matter. Simply that in my head, I think I shall always picture you wearing those shackles. Without them, the balance seems all wrong. It's distracting. Sorry? I decided to restore them, for old time's sake, shall we say. You're a stowaway after all. Thinks this is funny. Mr. Sholmes. We do appreciate all your assistance. I'd like to thank you, from the bottom of my heart. Not at all, not at all. And though it's a little late, may I offer my sincere condolences? The loss of your companion is truly heartrending. I hope that you will be able to fulfill some of his aspirations in his honour. I'm afraid that won't be possible. We shall be disembarking at the next port in Hong Kong. We have to return to Japan and make a full report about everything that's happened. What? Wait a minute. It's just me that has to go back, isn't it? I mean, I was a stowaway. Terms of this study tour were negotiated by the Department of Justice in both Great Britain and Japan. It was to be one lawyer and one assistant. Was to be? In the light of Mr. Asogi's unfortunate death, I'm afraid the study tour can no longer take place. No longer go ahead, either one. Oh no, I don't care for me, but... Possessor-san. My dear fellows, the majority of problems have an extremely simple solution, you know? All you require is one lawyer, and the study tour can continue, surely. But there is no one else with the necessary qualifications, Mr. Sholmes. We know of no other lawyer. Qualifications, you say? Any qualifications obtained in your own country will be of little value in Great Britain, I'm afraid. Oh, but anyway, the voyage to London still promises a good month of time. Ample opportunity, I would say, to find yourselves another suitable lawyer. Yes? Mrs. Esso? Yes? Do you think perhaps I might be able to do it? Ah, but you're not a lawyer, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, unless... Are you studying law? No, I'm not, but... I'm sorry. In that case, I don't think there's even a chance it could work. But as I said, there is still more than a month before we reach England shores. Isn't that right, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, I have a month in which to study, to learn what I must to become a lawyer in Great Britain. Mr. Naruhodo? That's ridiculous. Are you seriously suggesting anybody could learn all that in just 40 days? There's only one way to find out. I would work my fingers to the bone, Inspector. Every single day. Will you let me try? And if, by the time we reach Great Britain, I haven't learnt enough to be recognised as a lawyer, I'll take whatever punishment is deemed appropriate. But why put yourself in such a difficult position? For Kazuma. He said that there was something he had to do in Great Britain, and that he would sacrifice anything to make it happen. He was passionate about it. I can't let all that passion just come to nothing. And anyway, it's for my own benefit too. I will become a lawyer. I have to. What do you say, Miss Usato? Ah, she's smiling. I think it's a wonderful idea. Thank you. So, what does our bespectacled inspector friend say? Are you serious? One lawyer and one assistant. The numbers are indisputable. No, it's madness. Yeah, fascinating, would you agree? Fascinating? Routine rules are the dull routine of existence that we all abhor. Give us interest, give us fascination. Think for yourself. Besides, qualifications are no measure of a man. What matters is his character. No? And you've witnessed ample evidence of this man's exemplary character today with your own eyes. From the very early hours of this morning until this very moment now. Despite contending with the passing of his close companion, and despite the accusations of guilt, this man has shown resourcefulness, intelligence, and above all, courage. Very well. I'll think of a clever way to word my report to the Department of Justice. Inspector? After all, I did just make a promise, didn't I? I said that I'd do anything at all to make up for my shortcomings here. Oh, thank you, Inspector. If you'll excuse me, I must pay a visit to the captain's quarters, I think. I need to discuss what to do next and how best to make my report. Are you really prepared to attempt this, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, I'm going to try. I wonder, would you consider teaching me what I need to know? Everything about being a lawyer? I would be delighted to help you. I am a judicial assistant after all. Thank you. And, Mr. Naruhodo? I'd like you to take charge of this. What? Me? Are you sure? I'm sure it's what Kazuma-sama would have wanted. Its name is Karuma. It's a great sword that's been in the Asogi clan for generations. Very well, I accept. I'll treasure it, always. So then, Mrs. Zato, it seems we'll be working together for some time to come yet. It will be an honour, Mr. Naruhodo. And for the next 40 days, I shan't grant you a single minute of freedom. We shall fill every spare moment with study. Yes, that's exactly what I need. But, before we begin, I have an earnest favour to ask of you too. Goodness, what is it? Please throw me to the ground. 3 times. What? I should never have doubted you. You were Kazuma-sama's closest friend. Of course you would never have done anything to hurt him. That should have been obvious to me from the start. But I allowed suspicion to get the better of me. And no matter how upset I was feeling, it was completely unforgivable behaviour. No, you were in shock. You just found out about me stowing away, and the cabin door was locked from the inside. No, I won't let you make excuses for me. Whatever the circumstances, I should never have thrown you. Not just once, but 5 times. That number keeps creeping up, doesn't it? Please, you must. Just take hold of me and throw me. Do it. Don't even think about it. No, I don't even know how. I've never thrown anyone in my life. Very wise, Mr. Naruhodo. It isn't the skill one acquires without considerable training. Oh, Mr. Sholmes. You're still here. I observed your throwing techniques several times with great interest. I confess I was most impressed. When did he see that? I presume that would be a form of Japanese wrestling? Oh, well, in a way. It's not wrestling, but my own interpretation of an ancient jujutsu technique. Apparently it's called the Susato Takedown. It leaves your head swimming. Believe me. How beguiling. I'm a practitioner of the combative arts myself. I'm a somewhat accomplished boxer. There he goes, dancing around again. I wonder if you'd be so kind as to instruct me on the technique of your arresting throw. Yes, I'd be honoured. Then let us not dally. Demonstrate, my dear madam. Oh, of course. Are you ready, Mr. Naruhodo? Sorry? Hiya! As you can see, you throw from the abdomen. Oh yes, arresting indeed. And that is what you term the Susato takedown, is it? Actually, no. That was a Susato squash. In my groggy state of consciousness, a scene from an evening recently spent with Kazuma flickered into my mind. Kuruma? That's right, a surprise sword that's been passed down through generations of the Usogi clan. Can't believe you managed to get permission to bring it with you. I mean, taking a katana on a study tour is more than a little irregular, surely. A Japanese man's sword is his soul, Renosuke. I can't be parted from my katana. Rumor guides me. I truly believe that. But its name compels its wielder to slice evil in two. Not that you would need much compelling. On that subject, there's something very important that I have to do in Great Britain, and I'll sacrifice anything to make it happen. I appreciate you seeing it through with me. Of course I will. Whatever it is, I'll see it through to the end with you. I knew you wouldn't let me down. That important thing he had to do, I still don't know what that was. But I'm going to see the place for myself and work it out. In Great Britain's capital, London. The end! And oh my god, it's like almost 2 hours long. I didn't expect this episode to take that long. I really need to go and get ready really quickly to get ready to go and go see the Five Nights at Freddy's film. Thank you all so much for watching. Next time we will start episode 3, The Adventure of the Runaway Room. I think, yeah, I did do this case as well before, but we're getting close to episode 4 where I got partway into it but didn't finish it, so at some point we will get to new stuff that I have not seen before. But anyway, yeah, thank you all for watching. I've been Triple S, you've all been amazing, and I shall see you all in the next video.